I don't think we talk about this enough. You know, when your whole circle, like when your whole friend group is built on just ongoing drama, gossip, and the latest social chaos, I feel like it's really tiring to maintain such a relationship because at some point, like, drama is some type of social glue because it's something that we can talk about, that we can react to, and essentially just like bond over with. I think to keep talking about drama and ongoing things, it's pretty tiring because you always have to be updated on the latest thing. And this moment that you don't want to be updated on the latest thing anymore, like the moment you decide that you're not interested into knowing who broke up with who, or like who slept with who cheated on who did who wrong, then at some point you might feel like you're a bit left out. Because when you let go of certain topics, the people that you would share these topics with, essentially sometimes they might stop just entirely reaching out to you because they just think, oh, well, you're not interested anymore. And when this happens, you might notice in your life that you're gonna have less chaos, less movement, less friction in general, and more oftentimes than not, people are just gonna stop calling on to you, maybe even to hang out together because you don't have the same vibe anymore. You don't really fit in together anymore. And that, I think, is something that's really important to point out, because these types of relationships, more oftentimes than not, I feel like it's just relationships are very surface level. It's not that you guys have like a very strong emotional connection, that you have an actual genuine relationship with each other. It's more like you're just talking buddies. You just like to update each other and talk about the latest situation that might not even be so relevant to your life. Because essentially what you're doing is just you're getting your way into other people's life. You're taking parts of their life and you're talking about it. You might be talking about like how one person did the other wrong and how like you would never do something like that. But at the end of the day, all of this is just really pointless if you can't even be content with your own life. Like, if you absolutely need to talk about other people to have a conversation with someone else, I feel like that's just very superficial in some way, and it just shows that you don't really have any substance within yourself to talk about. And yeah, some people tend to call on you less, and that might lead you to think if you even had a genuine connection in the first place. And I think it's a pretty smart question to ask yourself, because in this day and age, I'm gonna be for real, like, I don't think I know a lot of people who ask themselves this question. It's just like, oh yeah, you're friends with this person, even if it's just surface level, and like you just go hang out and stuff. And these are things that are not really talked about. But if you actually think about it, it's pretty interesting. I think it's pretty important to consider the question, because if you're distantiating yourself from all these topics, and that you're distantiating from yourself from these sets of people at the same time, then I feel like you can see a genuine connection between those topics and those people. Maybe you never actually had a connection with these people because all you were talking about were just like ongoing drama, ongoing beef that didn't really like mean anything. If you decide to choose yourself and to distantiate yourself from these people, you're gonna find that you're not gonna be involved in all those like messy situations anymore, because you decide to not engage in these topics. And in some way you might feel like you're isolating or you're distancing yourself from your friends, but once again, how genuine was your relationship with these people in the first place? And I know that a lot of friendships are maintained by like shared or like similar environments, like also shared experience, shared drama even sometimes. But if this is just the core of your relationship, if your relationship is solely built on other people's drama and you're just commenting on that, I just don't think there's a genuine connection between you guys. Because essentially, if you choose to not engage in these conversations anymore, you're in some way slowly removing yourself from this information network, right? So at some point they might like stop updating you because you just don't want to hear anymore, because they just think you're not interested, you don't want to talk to them anymore, because that's all they talk about all day. And if you're removing yourself from this network and you're distanciating yourself from them, then you might start feeling like you're just friendless, like you don't have any friends in general. And that's not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing, actually, because that might be the realization that none of the friends in your group were actually your genuine friends. Because the moment they start updating you on a topic, you could always start and like talk about something else. Like, you don't always have to be talking about drama. You don't always have to be talking about other people's lives. You have your own lives to talk about, and if you don't want to talk about your own lives or like what happened recently for you guys, at some point, like, your relationship is just built on something outside of you guys. Because if you guys stop talking because there's no more drama going around, I feel like your relationship, your connection with each other is not even about you guys anymore. It's more about other people and what other people are up to. And I feel like that's just kind of sad, because you're bonding over other people's experiences, other people's traumas, but you yourselves don't really know anything about each other. You're just commenting on other people's lives. And like, don't get me wrong, this might not mean that you don't have anything important or like interesting going on into your life. It might just mean that you're not comfortable enough with each other to share it. Maybe because you've never really gotten to know each other in the first place, because all you talked about was other people, and how you bonded was through other people's dramas. And in a friend group especially, if you decide to remove yourself from this information network and you decide to not engage into these conversations anymore, then yeah, less people are going to reach out, like as I said before, and you might feel this rush of like emptiness and of loneliness. But like, that's not always a bad thing. Like, I don't see it as a bad thing, because I think loneliness is only there. Like, you're only lonely if you choose to be lonely. Because less invites, fewer messages, less calls, and just less activity does not automatically mean it's a loss. I know a lot of people just associate this like, oh yeah, look, you used to have so many friends and now like nobody calls on you to like play anymore or like to hang out anymore. A lot of people see this as a loss. Like, hey, you just like lost all your friends. What are you gonna do about it? I don't think having less activity or like less social activity is necessarily a loss. I think it's just you decide to allocate your time better. Because the thing is, when you decide to split up your time too much, your attention also divides and your energy also divides. And in some way, you're not choosing your priorities anymore. You're just going with whatever is coming up. And I think that's not a bad thing either. Like, I know a lot of people are like that. It's not criticism to any of you guys, but it's just, I don't think I would be that type of person to do that, because I like to keep my circle small and with actually genuine people. Like, I have a friend who told me something along the lines like, oh, I think everyone should have one big friend group because it's fun. I don't think so. I like my friend group small, or even like sometimes no friend group, because I like to hang out with people one-on-one a lot. But essentially, like what I want to say is that I don't think having a lot of friends is equal to having one very good friend. You know, it's like the saying, having like 100 pennies does not equal having $1. Like, in some way, it's not the same. Because you could have a lot of surface connections, but that would never compare to one true and genuine, deep connection with someone that you have. I don't think this is ever going to compare, because it's not to everyone that you can tell your problems to. It's not everyone that you can actually connect and just talk about things in life, things that have been happening, things that's been going on to. And I think that's really precious. If you have one genuine connection like that, I mean, personally, I wouldn't trade it for 100 surface connections, because that person would mean the world to me. And our connection is not like built on drama or gossip or anything. It's just because like we stuck with each other for like so long, for so many years, that we know each other at our finest, at our core, and we know what we like about each other. We know that even without drama, we can continue talking about like whatever. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be like something super small, like just a tiny update in your life, and then we can just go on and on about this. I feel like this is what a true connection really feels like. It's when you can talk about things, when you can be philosophical, when you can just debrief about like the smallest things in your life without needing to talk about anyone else or anything else. Like, sure, you can go on and you can like relate it to other things that have happened before. You can relate it to what other people are going through, but the main part of your conversation is still you. It's still you guys and like what you guys are going through. I feel like that's the type of connection that I'm looking for, and that a lot of people are looking for actually, but can't really seem to find, because we're so stuck in this cycle where we want to seem like society is so performative in some way that we want to seem like we're not lonely. We want to seem like we have a lot of friends. So then we go to these people and those events that are gonna make us look like we know a lot of people, that we have a lot of friends, that we're having a lot of fun. Like, sure, that seems okay. Like, that makes you seem like you have a lot of friends. But deep down, if you actually think about it, how many genuine connections do you have? And like, I want to go back on what I think loneliness is, because to me, loneliness is like when you're alone, but you wish you were not. So then you start getting like intense FOMO, like fear of missing out, and you just want to hang out with like a bunch of different people to fill that void because you're not content with yourself. I think the main difference between loneliness and just aloneness is being content with yourself. Because being alone does not mean you're lonely, because you can be alone and be perfectly okay with being alone. I don't think there's another way to achieve aloneness other than through content. Because a person who can spend time alone and is okay with spending time alone is probably content with themselves and would not feel like they're missing out on like what other people are doing, because they're okay with spending their day alone. And not only can they spend the whole day alone, they can also not feel like they're being deprived of anything. Because people who are actually alone and not lonely don't need other people's company to validate their existence. They can just exist, they can just be. They can go to cafes alone, they can go to movies alone, they can like go walk alone, go to the park alone. You know, it doesn't really matter what they do, but they're okay with doing it alone. And I feel like in our generation, it's something that not a lot of people can do. So the price of peace is loneliness, but only if you want it to be loneliness. But there's a price, there must be a reward. And the reward for that is, I feel like people that are remaining in your life are people who you actually have a true connection with, who you are being genuine with, that you're actually being yourself with. It's people who actually are here because of you. Not because of other people's drama, not because you know all like the latest details about this person's life, like not because you know all the tea, but it's actually because they like to be with you. And I think that is worth way more than connections that are super superficial and that you're just debriefing other people's situation with. Because in the end, the more genuine your friendship is, the more genuine your connection with each other is, the more like intimate your friendship is, other people are not going to matter as much, because you're going to be so focused and so absorbed in your own friendship with the person that anything outside of your friendship won't matter as much, because it's not about other people. It's your friendship is about you guys. And the price of peace is loneliness only if you decide that being alone means that something is missing.